What is going on, everyone? It's Ultimate Spy 53 here, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 124. And today, I'm going to be reviewing Cinderella from 1950.
So what did I think of Cinderella from 1950? Well, first of all, it's a classic. When it came out, it was pretty good, but now that I've seen it again, after like years, I mean, I haven't seen this movie in years, quite literally. I forgot what was in the movie. Like, I forgot all the stuff that was in the movie, especially the beginning. I completely forgot, like, we get, like, a young Ella. Weirdly enough, though, the movie does not introduce her as Cinderella. Like, that's the name that she's given by the Wicked Stepsisters. No, but her name is actually Ella. So that's kind of the one thing they got wrong. But in general, I was looking at the reviews because did the reaction to better using good movies episode for the princess movies, and one of those was the Cinderella movie, and one of them said it was sending out a lot of bad messages, and I kind of see now why. I mean, the movie itself isn't a bad movie. It's a very classic movie. It's classic. I mean, when I mean Disney classic, I mean they usually have like the classic Disney stuff appearing at the beginning, with the voice talents, produced by all that stuff, all the fancy arts, all that stuff. It even usually opens with a book, like a book, showing the story, like Once Upon a Time kind of thing, and I had that exact thing, and it's a classic movie. I prefer it to the new one, obviously, just based off of the stylistic stuff like that. The animation was okay. I had some issues with it, like a lot of the builds of the bodies weren't very good. Like Giselle and Anastasia, they didn't appear to have breasts, and that's a really bad thing because you have to show that that's a woman, because if they don't have any kind of breast line, that's really not good. That's not good for the animators. I mean, Cinderella does, but she doesn't really have toes. She hardly has ears. It's a little bit not great, but in general, it's not a terrible movie. It's just like I felt like it was sending bad messages to the viewers. I mean, maybe not in 1950 because it came out in 1950, but like nowadays, it's sending a bad message. So I think obviously the classic tales about Cinderella being a not really I guess technically she's a slave because she didn't really get paid for it, but basically a servant to her household because her father dies after her mother dies. Apparently, I mean, we get a little flashback of a young Cinderella in a different dress, and I actually like that one. I like the fact because I don't think it was in the new one, which I'll be reading very soon, because I realized that I was originally planning on reviewing the 2015 Cinderella movie, which came out a couple years ago, obviously. But I realized then that I haven't reviewed the original yet, and I remember I reviewed Beauty and the Beast, and I reviewed the new one later on. But then I forgot that I was like, oh, the next review is gonna be Cinderella, the new one. But wait, I haven't reviewed the original one, which is a little, in terms of design, it's more accurate because Disney did, they did their thing with it. They made the characters more, I guess, faithful to the original story. I don't exactly know how it works, but I figured I might as well take care of this because I haven't done it, because it's like every Disney remake that I do, I should at least get the original taken care of. And I mean, I will say it's classic, but it has issues. It's not. It doesn't matter if it's a classic movie. It still has issues. And this movie, I mean, Disney's known for some of their dark stuff. They have a lot of dark stuff, but this movie in particular, when I first saw it after like just now, after like years and years of not seeing it, because I remember seeing a few years back. I remember seeing this one, and then I saw the second one, which takes place basically literally after the first one with a different voice actor, but the voice actor for Cinderella basically sounds the same. And then there's 3, which is A Twist of Time, which is basically I think something happens where the stepmother steals the fairy godmother's wand and she makes everything go horrible, kind of thing. But with this movie, I noticed quite a few bad messages that were given to it. I mean, I kind of understand the whole slave kind of thing, because that kind of because it's described why she's a servant. Why she becomes a servant, because the stepmother is cruel, cold, and just horrible, and that she's making Cinderella do all this stuff, and that's the classic tale. But then I see a lot of other stuff that was kind of like not represented well. Well, first of all, they got the romance all wrong. Like they got the message of romance wrong, like love. It's not how love works. The idea was that Cinderella goes to this ball. I think at one point it's like hours of dancing. She meets the prince, who she does not know at all. Yeah, she meets him, doesn't know him at all. Just starts dancing with him for hours, and does not even say who she is. And then midnight goes, strikes, and it's like, oh, I don't even know her name. Well, then you probably should have done that before you started dancing with her, because it's like, oh, hi, I'm Cinderella. Hi, I'm the prince. Of course, they didn't name it. They didn't name the prince. They just called him the prince. I mean, they didn't. That's the same with Beauty and the Beast, where they didn't name the prince. But the same thing here. It's like you gotta have at least gotten to know someone, because when you love someone, romantically, you have to at least get to know them, know their name, having things in common, and then you kind of really understand how someone could fall in love with that person like that. But like, if you're literally dancing with them for hours, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was hours. It was like I think the clock's at 8 o'clock to like 12. That's like 4 hours of dancing, and all that time she didn't say a word. Well, she said she was in love, but how could she be in love when they don't even introduce themselves? So I felt like that was an issue for the movie, because they didn't bother to even say anything, and it's like, oh, time to go, goodbye. I don't even know her name. Whose fault is that, kind of thing. And then it's like, oh, I won't rest until I find her. I'm in love with her. But how can this guy be in love with Cinderella if he's never met her officially? Like, he's danced with her like for a few hours, but that's it. So I kind of feel like the writers didn't know what they were doing. I mean, I think the original tale was a little different, but I mean, obviously Disney changes the original story a little bit. But I just felt like, even though it's a classic, there's a lot of issues that I didn't notice before that I'm noticing now, that I just felt like, wow, they didn't do a good job with this. But yeah, basically it's like, oh, the shoe fits, he gets married, just like that. No, no introduction, just they're married on a honeymoon. Like, I don't even know you, I'm gonna marry you. That is not how love works. Romance is not used in that way. That's just like, I think that's just not very good writing. Not saying it's bad writing. It's just not very good writing for a romance story. That's just not how romance works. You have to get to know the person first in order to have the idea of falling with them. Because it's like, I mean, it's not how it works. I mean, I know it's a classic, but even then, I don't know if the writers realized that they did not know what they were doing. And that's basically all I can say for that part. Another thing, there's a couple of more things that I had issues with. Early in the movie, we see a new mouse, Gus, who is this fat mouse, and Cinderella decides to call him Octavius, or Gus for short, and he calls himself Gus. How is that short for Octavius? I think I would rather comment, because I was watching the Everything Wrong with Cinderella, because at that point the new one was about to come out, and so the guy in the Everything Wrong with, he pointed that out. He's like, oh, how is Gus short for Octavius? It's not. But apparently, it was actually an inside joke from the writers that that during that time, because I think Octavius is like a Roman soldier, or a Roman whatever you call it. And I think at that time they changed the name of Octavius to, instead of time of Caesar at least, they changed the name from Octavius to Augustus. Gus is short for Augustus. So, but even then, it doesn't really explain how Gus can be short for Octavius. It makes no sense at all. But I just felt like that was just something kind of crazy. But also, singing mice sounds to me a lot like Alvin the Chipmunks. It literally sounded like that. It was literally like they're making this dress and they are singing along to it, like Alvin the Chipmunks would do. And then another thing that happened in the movie that I found was like a big bad message to the viewer was, I think it was when the king is rejoicing about the ball, and then he gives his squire, the squire guy with the monocle, he gives him a bunch of cigars. This is a Disney movie. It's a Disney movie from 1950. How can they do that? How can they give a message that It's literally sending the message of drugs, basically, because it's a cigar, it's smoking. But it's like the worst idea, and the worst message to send to young children is this: yeah, that cigars are okay in a Disney movie. I mean, it was 1950 after all, but even then, you kind of look at a movie like Pinocchio, which I will be reviewing. I know I haven't reviewed all of these Disney movies, but I'm getting around to it. Something like that, where I do remember there was a scene where they had cigars in there. Bad message. What the hell? I don't understand why they do that. I mean, again, they're old movies, but when you really sit down and think about it, it's really bad. Like, it sends a terrible message to kids. Even if it's a Disney movie from 1950, it's just a terrible way to send a message, is cigars. But again, that's just, Disney. They probably didn't know that was a terrible way to tell a story using, even for one scene. It's just a bad idea. But just in general, it wasn't a bad movie. It's just, I had issues with the writing. I mean, I hadn't seen this movie in years, so it's kind of been a while, but I still thought it was it's a classic story. I prefer this one to the other ones they've done because I think that there have been different versions of Cinderella where her hair has been like brown, like Into the Woods had a thing. I think that's the thing for me is like when I watch a Disney classic movie, like a animated movie or whatever, like 2D animation, which is what they started out, and then 3D animation now. When I see that movie, and then I see like another a play or whatever, and they have a different hair color or the dress is different, it doesn't seem right to me because I'm so used to seeing that version. And I didn't realize that there's different versions of Cinderella that had different hair colors. Same thing with Aurora. Same thing with any princess out there that any Disney princess movie, it's gonna be a thing. But in general, I will say there are a lot of good things about this movie. I mean, I've taken care of the bad stuff. I've basically talked about the bad stuff, but there's a lot of good things about the movie. I did like Cinderella as a character. She's a great singing voice. I think the actress is no longer living, which is why they're recasting her as Jennifer Hale, who sounds a lot like Cinderella, the original voice actor for Cinderella, at least, which is good. I mean, I'm not kidding. If you've ever seen Cinderella 2, you would know what I'm talking about. But basically, I like the dress she has on. It's a lot better in that new Wreck-It Ralph movie that's coming out later this year. It's way better. It stretches on the ears. I mean, I didn't really think about it because I'm so used to seeing the new stuff. But when I saw the Wreck-It Ralph 2 trailer and Cinderella had ears, I'm like, oh, she didn't have ears before? Because apparently people said that she didn't have ears before. She did, but they were very tiny. Very tiny because the animators at Disney back in the 50s they didn't really draw things really well. Like they didn't, like I said before, they didn't draw toes, they didn't draw nails, anything like that. Nothing like that. It was just completely stupid. And the hair wasn't realistic at all. It was just like dark yellow coloring, just like ugh. But I love the dress. I think that Walt Disney himself at the time that the movie was being made, the sequence where Cinderella's dress, her tattered dress becomes the beautiful dress she's done to wear, is his favorite sequence. Like when Fairy Godmother turns her tattered dress into a beautiful gown, that's his favorite. And I do like that one. That's like the first instance where you see the magic of Disney, because it's like the first instance of magic in a Disney movie. Pretty sure. Maybe Peter Pan counts, but I think that came later. But still, I will say it had a lot of good things. The Fairy Godmother is classic. The carriage is classic. The dress is classic. All that stuff. But I think it was a very decent movie. I mean, for a movie that came out in 1950, it wasn't bad. I just think it had a lot of problems. It had a lot of plot holes, a lot of bad messages to children. I didn't feel like it was perfect. But it was still really not bad at all. And now, again, I'm comparing this to the new one that I'm going to be reviewing pretty soon here in a few weeks. That one, I thought the dress wasn't as good. Because, again, they feel like every live-action movie they make of a Disney movie, they just cut the gloves. And I'll talk about that more in depth when I do my Cinderella 2015 review. There was a song, though, that I really felt was annoying. It was called Sweet Nightingale, or Sweet Sweet Nightingale. I think it was called that. God, it literally is the most annoying song ever, at least in that particular movie. It's literally the same lyric played 4 times in a row. It's that crazy. It's that insane. It's the same lyric. That's all I can say about the movie. It had a lot of issues in it with it, definitely, especially with the romance in it. Just first of all, when you just meet a prince and you start dancing with him, that's awkward. Like, you don't even bother introducing yourself. Why? You always introduce yourself and your families with someone, especially if you're gonna decide to fall in love with them and marry them, and then go on a honeymoon with them. Not even like, oh, they're on a honeymoon. They don't even know each other. Like, they're complete strangers. That's all I can say. I'm gonna give this movie a 5 out of 10. Which is actually not bad. Again, I'm docking off several points because of the bad message it sends to people, because it just is not. It's sending a lot of mixed messages here. Ugh, but still, also, one thing I should mention is if you ever watch the movie Little Mermaid, and make sure when you watch that movie to look out for the Ariel wedding. The king and the squire from Cinderella are in that scene. It's like the first days of crossover they've done until like Frozen. But still, that's all I'm gonna say for the movie. See, anyway, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate support. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series and other series I do. As well as great content. And I'll be back next time with another episode. Alright? See ya.